Alright, hey everyone, I'm Greg the Bug Burke, bringing you my new podcast this week on Carnifex tactics. And with me today is a special guest, Dave, No Armor Save Thomas. How's it going, Dave?
Hey, pretty good. Good to be here.
Dave is my good friend. He got me into Warhammer, and today we're going to be going over Carnifexes and their pros, cons, and how to use them. So, Dave, you've played Carnifexes, and you played against me a lot in the 4th edition with Carnifexes.
Yes, yeah, they were brutal.
Yeah. What were your views on them in the old Codex when they were on the table?
Well, they were big meat shields. They were they took a lot of fire, and they still kept coming. That was sort of a pain. You never quite knew what you were going to get with a Carnifex because they were really customizable. You could have something that was really quick on its feet. You could have something with a lot of attacks, high toughness. You know, it was all sort of a crapshoot when you're playing against them. But generally pretty decent monsters.
They were, and if our viewers out there, listeners, have noticed in the 5th edition Codex, they've doubled their point value base. I think their normal base value was, I think, around 80 or 90, and now they're base 160, and that's with nothing.
You know, I'm okay with that.
I know, you would be. So anyway, we just wanted to show, I personally hate the new ones. I've used them a couple times in some random games, and they've been horrible. They've just been point suckers. A squad of 3 costs 480 points. That's not cheap in a 1750 point game. That's a big chunk of your army. And we did a practice battle to see what happened if a full strength brood of Carnifexes was in combat with a... What kind of Terminator squad did we use?
It was a 5-man Terminator assault squad for a total of 200 points. There's one Terminator sergeant who has a power weapon and a storm shield, giving them a 3-up invul save, and then 4 Terminators with a thunder hammer and a storm shield, which is essentially a power fist and a 3-up save. Or 3-up invul save.
All right, so you basically built them for like close combat, basically, 100% close
Yeah,
combat.
Exactly, and that's the only reason they would get into close combat with big, scary monsters like that.
All right, now, the Carnifex stats, are weapon skill and ballistic skill are kind of average. They're both 3. The thing that stands out is his strength. His strength is 9. His toughness is 6. You used to be able to make it 7. It's a 6. A little disappointed by that. Hurts their survivability. That means lace cannons, railguns, and anything that's going to basically win them on a 2-up. And strength 4 weapons I believe strength 4 weapons can hurt them on a 6-up, right?
Yes. Yeah, if you get really, really lucky.
And then we have 4. The Carnifexes have 4 wounds each, and then 1 initiative. But they do have a rule: if they charge, they get 2. It's not Fury's Charge. It's a different rule called Living Battering Ram, but same concept. And they do have 4 attacks each, with Sizing Challenge, which allows them to reroll misses. And they have a 3-up normal save and a 7 leadership. So 7 leadership is about average. And what about your Terminators? What are their stats across the board? So people can
They're essentially regular Space Marines with heavier armor. They're 4 across the board: 4 weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, and toughness. They each have 1 wound. They have an initiative 4, which makes them pretty quick on the battlefield, despite the fact that they're in big, heavy armor. But that's sort of negated by their power claws, or their power fists. Excuse me. They each have 2 attacks without a charge. Leadership of 9, which is pretty high up there, and a 2-up save and a 3-up invul save.
All right, yeah, that invul save is really, really nasty.
Yeah.
That's what saves them a lot of time. Now, we did a combat with them. Now, for fairness' sake, we didn't say one or the other charge. We just kind of started in combat, and everyone got their base attacks. In the first combat, you killed a Carnifex and a half, and I killed 2 Terminators.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's about right.
And then the second...
No, that was 1 Terminator that first round.
Oh, I only killed 1. So you did 6 wounds to me first round, I did 1 wound to you. And
that's right.
Some of those other wounds because I was dragged down because I'm fearless. Now, the second round, I believe I actually did kill 2 Terminators.
You did, that's correct.
And then you were able to gun down another 5 wounds off me.
Yeah, that's right. So, and I'd like to add that the Terminator Sergeant did a great job. He rolled his 6 to wound, so he actually helped that combat, which is a surprise against such a high toughness.
Now, for you listeners out there, this squad was 480 points versus how much was your Terminator squad, Dave?
200 points.
So 200 points of Terminators versus 460 points of Carnifex. Gonna have to go on a limb here and say, yeah, Carnifex can't really pull their weight against other elites units, and the only reason I would take them is maybe to assault infantry with. But when are you gonna assault infantry with a huge monster? Because you want to actually do damage to bigger units.
Well, that's very true, but see, I think that these are not supposed to be the same big scary monsters they used to be. That's why they've got the Trigon, the Turvagon, all those nifty new monsters that you've got in your codex. But I think this time, the reason they're in the elite section is because they're supposed to fill a more specific role. If you have 3 of them, they're a great anti-tank unit if you can get them in close. But they need to be used in conjunction with other shooting, I think. If you had shot at my Terminators, caused them to make a lot of their saves, and every time I roll, you roll a 1 against a Terminator, that's a pretty heavy hit. They're not cheap. They're not a cheap unit. So what you need to do, I think, before you charge in with those big monsters with scything talons, is you gotta get some gaunts in there, and you gotta whittle them down. You gotta cause a couple of wounds before you charge into close combat. Then when you do, you'll rip them into tiny little pieces.
That's true, but don't you think that, they're base 160, and to make them shooty or something, you have to add more points on top of that. So you're looking at like 220 points per Fex, basically, to make them useful at shooting.
Yeah, that's sort of unfair. I'm not saying the point system is perfect, but I think since this is the codex that you guys are sort of stuck with, I think that's going to be the best way to use your Carnifexes. Because as you saw, the Terminator Assault Squad, when they're equipped with Storm Shields, they're pretty resilient, but you still managed to get 3 kills out of that combat. You took away 3 of those Power Fists, scratch that, 3 of those Thunder Hammers and Storm Shields. So despite the fact that they won that combat, they're going to be in a real bad way, So I think as long as the tactics are worked out, it can be a detrimental assault.
Yeah. Overall, I think the Carnifex, it's all player preference. If you want to play with them, go ahead and play with them. I would recommend taking a Trigon over a Carnifex if you have the points, if you have the extra 40 points lying around, because they're only 40 points more base than a Carnifex, and the only thing you're sacrificing is 3 strength. Everything else is basically identical, and they even have more attacks and more shooting, surprisingly, as well, and a higher weapon skill. So, Dave, thank you for coming on the show today, and I'm sure we'll see more of you.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see more
for sure.
of you. Maybe we'll do some Eldar tactics when you come on next time.
Yeah, you'll find out why they call me No Armor Save Dave.
Yep, there you go. Alright guys, this is Greg the Bug Burke, and this was my overview of the Carnifex. I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.